Leslie Howard was a renowned actor who embodied the epitome of refined English gentleman in many of his roles. However, it may come as a surprise to some that he actually grew up in Vienna and learned German before he could speak English. In the 1930s, he made a name for himself in Hollywood and on Broadway, with his most famous performances being Sir Percy Blakeney in The Scarlet Pimpernel and Ashley Wilkes in Gone with the Wind. Despite 2 nominations for the Academy Award for Best Actor, he did not win. When World War II broke out, Leslie threw himself into supporting the British war effort. Tragically, in 1943, he was a passenger on a civilian plane that was shot down by German fighters. The circumstances of the incident have been shrouded in mystery and have given rise to conspiracy theories that persist to this day. Leslie Howard was born on April 3, 1893 in London as Leslie Howard Steiner, the eldest of 5 children. His father was a Jewish financier from Hungary, and Leslie spent the early part of his childhood in Vienna before the family moved back to London when he was 13 years old. Leslie Howard was raised in a sheltered environment and did not have fond memories of his time at the prestigious Alleyne School in Dulwich, London. He was much more drawn to the world of the arts, particularly theatre, and his mother, whose brother was the silent film director Wilfred Noy, encouraged his passions. At the age of 14, Leslie wrote his first play and, with his mother's help, established the Upper Norwood Dramatic Club to produce their works. As the First World War approached, Leslie's family decided to anglicize their surname to Stainer, although Leslie's legal surname remained Steiner. He took on his mother's maiden name, Lillian Howard, when he embarked on his acting career. Leslie's father, however, had no interest in the arts and insisted that Leslie work in a London bank after finishing school. The job was unfulfilling for Leslie, but he was saved by the outbreak of the First World War in 1914, which allowed him to enlist in the British Army as part of the Northamptonshire Yeomanry. Leslie Howard served in the First World War, but after the Battle of the Somme in 1916, he was diagnosed with shell shock and had to leave the army. He was determined not to return to a career in banking and instead decided to pursue acting. He made his London stage debut in 1917 and quickly gained recognition for his talent and professional demeanour. News of Leslie's success spread quickly, and he soon became a well-known figure on both sides of the Atlantic. He starred in successful plays such as Aren't We All? In 1923, The Green Hat in 1925, and Her Cardboard Lover in 1927 and Berkeley Square in 1929. By the early 1920s, Leslie was a top Broadway star. It was the dawn of the talkies era, and stage-trained actors with strong voices and matinee good looks were in high demand for the new medium of talking films. With 12 years of successful stage experience under his belt, Leslie was invited to Hollywood, where he continued to thrive and never lacked for work. Leslie Howard quickly rose to fame in Hollywood in the 1930s, captivating audiences with his calm, measured acting style. Many of his early roles on the screen were adaptations of his successful theatrical performances, such as his first Hollywood film Outward Bound in 1930 and The Animal Kingdom in 1933. His popularity continued to grow and he was twice nominated for the Best Actor award. The first was for his performance in the film version of Berkeley Square in 1933 and the second was for his portrayal of Professor Henry Higgins in the film adaptation of George Bernard Shaw's Pygmalion in 1938. One of Leslie's most iconic roles was as Sir Percy Blakeney in the 1934 film The Scarlet Pimpernel. On the surface, Blakeney appeared to be a sophisticated society dandy, but he secretly became the daring hero known as the Scarlet Pimpernel, saving French aristocrats from the grasp of the revolutionaries. This role solidified Leslie's status as a Hollywood star and one of the most popular actors of the 1930s. In 1936, Leslie Howard starred in the theatrical adaptation of The Petrified Forest. However, before accepting the role, he made a bold demand to the studio. He insisted that his friend, the struggling actor Humphrey Bogart, be cast as the gangster Duke Manty. Despite initial hesitation, the studio agreed to Howard's request. This decision proved to be a turning point in Bogart's career, as he went on to become a Hollywood legend. As a show of gratitude, Bogart named his daughter Leslie in honor of Howard's kindness. Meanwhile, Howard's own career was thriving in the 1930s. He co-starred with several notable actors and actresses, including Bette Davis in Of Human Bondage, Norma Shearer in a film version of Romeo and Juliet, Olivia de Havilland in the romantic comedy It's Love I Am After, and Ingrid Bergman in Intermezzo. Throughout this busy time in his movie career, Howard continued to make a name for himself as a talented and versatile actor. In the year that followed, Howard was given a chance to shine in one of his most memorable roles, as Ashley Wilkes in Gone with the Wind. The film was a huge success, cementing Howard's status as a leading actor. However, with World War II looming on the horizon, he felt it was his duty to return to Britain and do his part in the war effort. He contributed in a few different ways, including making propaganda films such as From the Four Corners, which showed the sacrifices being made by Commonwealth soldiers, as well as more traditional films that aimed to highlight the same message. Through his work, Howard played a crucial role in inspiring the British public to support the war effort. In 1941, Leslie Howard stepped into a new role as a solo director with the film Pimpernel Smith. In this film, he cleverly updated his popular character from the Scarlet Pimpernel to a modern setting, as Professor Horatio Smith bravely rescues important figures from the clutches of the Germans during World War II. Later that same year, Howard portrayed Philip Armstrong Scott, an explorer, in the British Ministry of Information-backed film 49th Parallel. In the film, Howard's own unselfish decision to return to Britain from Hollywood is reflected in his character's journey, as Scott initially escapes to Canada to avoid the Nazis, only to eventually put himself in harm's way for the greater good. In 1942, Howard starred as R.J. Mitchell, the inventor of the Spitfire, in the patriotic film The First of the Few. This was his last major on-screen role. For his next film, The Gentle Sex, he served only as the narrator, as he did not want his famous face to detract from the film's message of highlighting women's contributions to the war effort. Before his untimely death, Howard had a new film project in mind. It was called The Lamp Still Burns and aimed to shed light on the challenges faced by wartime nurses in Britain before the National Health Service was established. However, this film was not made by Howard himself. Howard was traveling on KLM Royal Dutch Airlines, BOAC Flight 777 when it was shot down over the Bay of Biscay. He was on his way to Bristol from Lisbon, supposedly for a lecture tour about filmmaking. In reality, he was also likely meeting with local intelligence agents and helping to boost support for the Allied cause. There was a theory that Howard was mistaken for Winston Churchill, who was also in the area at the time. But this theory has since been debunked. Howard's death at the age of 50 was a major blow to Britain during the war, and was deeply mourned by many. Despite his early death, Leslie Howard left behind a remarkable legacy in the entertainment industry. He was an accomplished actor, director, and producer, who made major contributions to the movie industry during a very busy time in his career. He was especially known for his wartime propaganda films, which helped to support the Allied cause and boost morale in Britain during a difficult time in the country's history. His death was a major tragedy for wartime Britain and for the entertainment industry as a whole, but his work continues to inspire and entertain audiences today.